Amidst the shattered remnants of the ancient empire of Elenun, the last vestiges of sunlight struggled to pierce the canopy of twisted, towering sycamores that dominated the landscape. This was the Veyron Wilds, a realm where time seemed frozen in the echoes of a forgotten age, its air thick with magic and mystery. Deep within this verdant expanse lay the hollowed halls of Arenthal, a city once thriving and majestic, now an abode of whispering ghosts and creeping shadows. Idrin Voss, a ranger known as much for his wits as his bow, navigated through the undergrowth with the practiced grace of a shadow. His companion, a young mage named Thalia, moved with less stealth but no less determination. Her eyes, alight with the azure glow of arcane energy, scanned the ruins before them, seeking answers hidden in the dust of ancients. "Are you certain this is where the map leads?" Idrin asked, pulling aside a curtain of ivy to reveal a grand archway half buried in the earth's embrace. Thalia nodded, her breath visible in the cooling air. The chart of Luminous was clear. Arenthal holds the fragment of the celestial heart. If we are to stop the rising tide of the Shadow Conclave, we must retrieve it. Idrin grimaced at the mention of their nemesis. The Shadow Conclave, a clandestine sect of warlocks and witches, sought to plunge the world into a new age of darkness, unearthing powers best left buried. Their path to conquest began with the Celestial Heart, a relic of unimaginable power, fractured centuries ago, into pieces scattered across the world. "If the legends speak true," Idrin replied, "we'll find more than just dust and echoes here." Their steps echoed ominously as they entered the archway, swallowed by the shadows of Arenthal. As they ventured deeper, the air grew heavy with an ancient foreboding presence. They wound through grand corridors, where murals depicting heroic epics lined the walls, faded yet resonant with a lost grandeur. Their luminescent guide, a sphere of Thalia's conjuring, illuminated the path ahead. They reached a vast hall, its ceiling adorned with crystalline constellations that shimmered like stars. In the center stood the celestial pedestal, an altar of unyielding granite, upon which lay the fragment of the celestial heart, a shard of iridescent crystal pulsating with a soft inner light. "We found it," Thalia whispered, her voice a mix of awe and trepidation. Yet the moment her fingers brushed its surface, the air vibrated with an unholy cadence. From the shadows emerged a figure cloaked in tenebrous robes, Seraphon, a formidable warlock of the Shadow Conclave, eyes glowing like embers. "Fools," Seraphon's voice slithered through the air, chilling their resolve. "You think to steal what is rightfully the Conclave's?" Idrin drew his bow in a heartbeat, releasing a volley of arrows wreathed in enchanted flame. But Seraphon deflected them with a mere flick of his wrist, the projectiles disintegrating into sparks. A battle ensued, explosive and fierce. Thalia wove spells of piercing light, each incantation a symphony of power and precision. But Seraphon countered with runes of darkness, consuming her spells with void-like hunger. Idrin's arrows surged anew, guided by his unerring aim, yet they found no purchase on the warlock's dark shield. In the chaos, Thalia glimpsed a pattern within Seraphon's defenses, a fleeting vulnerability woven into his arcane tapestry. "Idrin, now!" she cried, her voice a beacon through the storm of magic. Idrin's next arrow found its mark, piercing the warlock's heart with the fury of 1,000 stars. Seraphon staggered, disbelief etched upon his face as darkness consumed him. With the threat vanquished, they turned back to the fragment. But as Thalia reached for it, the ground trembled, the walls of the hall quaking with a power unbound. From the depths of Arenthal, an ancient beast arose, its form a tangle of roots and stone, eyes like molten gold glaring with ageless wrath. The guardian of Arenthal, awakened to defend its sacred charge. "Run!" Idrin yelled, grabbing Thalia's arm, as they sprinted from the hall, the guardian's roar echoing behind them. Through corridors collapsing in upon themselves, they raced against the encroaching doom, the relic clutched tightly in Thalia's grasp. Bursting from the ruins, they emerged into the twilight of the wilds, their hearts pounding with the thrill of survival and triumph. Yet, as they paused to catch their breath, a new horror unfolded before them. From the depths of the woods, an army of shadowed figures emerged, their eyes glowing with the malevolent promise of the Shadow Conclave. The fight was far from over. It had only just begun. In the wake of their escape, Idrin and Thalia found themselves at the precipice of a broader conflict. The fragment of the celestial heart, their only hope against the swelling tide of darkness. But unknown to them, an insidious betrayal lurked in their ranks, and a greater revelation awaited that would upend all they thought they knew. The journey ahead would lead them to allies and enemies alike, a landscape fraught with peril and wonder, where the bonds of friend and foe blurred in the fires of war. With the fate of the world hanging by a thread, they would have to prove that even amidst the gathering storm, a single light could kindle a beacon of hope. And so, with steeled determination, they set forth into the heart of the wilds, the path winding deeper into the unknown, the silhouettes of a world on the edge of oblivion rising to greet them. The moon hung like a sentinel in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the Veyron wilds as Idrin and Thalia trudged forward, their breaths forming small clouds in the chill of night. The weight of the fragment seemed to pulse in Thalia's hand, a reminder of both the peril they faced and the hope they clung to. As dawn broke, they reached the edge of the forest, where the land opened into the Narthian plains, a sweeping expanse of grasses that danced in the wind's gentle caress. It was here they were to meet their allies, the enigmatic band known as the Silver Circle, renowned for their prowess and loyalty to the realm's peace. The encampment came into view, a cluster of tents nestled by a babbling brook. Banners bearing the sigil of a silver crescent fluttered in the breeze. Yet as they approached, a figure emerged from the camp, her presence commanding and serene. It was Lady Areneth, leader of the Silver Circle, her silver hair catching the dawn light like a cascade of stars. Idrin Voss, Thalia of the Arcanists' Guild, she greeted, her voice a melodic lilt. "We have awaited your coming, and the tidings you bring." "Lady Areneth," Idrin replied, bowing slightly. "The Shadow Conclave advances. We have retrieved the fragment, but their forces gather like a storm on the horizon." Areneth nodded, her gaze shifting to Thalia. "The Conclave's ambitions are vast. With the fragment, they seek to reforge the celestial heart and reshape the world in their dark image." Thalia held the shard aloft, its luminescence casting patterns across their faces. "We must move swiftly. Where lies the next piece?" Areneth turned, gesturing toward the distant mountains, their peaks shrouded in mist. "The Stormcrag Pinnacle. It is said the next fragment lies within its depths, guarded by the tempest itself." Idrin and Thalia exchanged a glance, determination mirrored in both their eyes. "Then we mustn't delay," Idrin said, tightening his grip on his bow. As they prepared to depart, a sudden commotion erupted from the camp. A scout burst through the throng, breathless and wide-eyed. "My lady, the conclave approaches. They march upon us." Without hesitation, Araneth rallied her warriors. "Prepare defenses. We stand as one against this darkness." The camp buzzed with activity, the air charged with a mix of fear and resolve. As the horizon darkened with the encroaching army of the Shadow Conclave, Idrin and Thalia joined the Silver Circle, readying themselves for the fight. The battle that ensued was a maelstrom of steel and sorcery. Arrows rained from the sky as Idrin, perched atop an outcropping, unleashed his deadly volley upon the advancing shadows. Thalia stood with Araneth, channeling arcane energies into a shield that warded off the Conclave's dark magic. With every swing of her sword, Araneth cleaved through the chaos, her movements fluid and precise. The warriors of the Silver Circle formed a living barricade, their courage a bulwark against the onslaught. Yet, amidst the fray, a figure emerged from the shadows. Galen, a sorcerer of the Conclave, known for his cunning and cruelty. His eyes locked upon Thalia, a predatory smile curling his lips. "You think the light of your little fragment will save you?" Galen taunted, his voice a chilling whisper amid the din. "You are nothing against the Conclave's might." Thalia's hands glowed with arcane fire as she prepared to meet his challenge. "You underestimate the power of those who fight for what is right," she retorted, unleashing a torrent of magic that clashed with Galen's dark sorcery. Their confrontation was a dance of energy and will, each seeking to outmaneuver the other in a deadly ballet of destruction. Around them, the battle raged, a symphony of clashing steel and roaring spells. In a moment of blinding clarity, Thalia saw through Galen's facade, a crack in his formidable defenses. She channeled her might into a single, focused burst, shattering his illusions and exposing his vulnerability. Galen staggered, disbelief etched upon his face as Thalia's magic found its mark, enveloping him in searing light. His form dissipated like mist in the morning sun, leaving nothing but echoes behind. With their leader vanquished, the Conclave's forces faltered, their momentum broken by the unyielding resolve of the Silver Circle and their newfound allies. Victory was claimed, but the cost was heavy, the plains littered with the fallen. Amidst the aftermath, Idrin and Thalia regrouped with Araneth, their resolve unbroken despite the loss. "The path to Stormcrag awaits," Araneth said, her gaze turned toward the looming mountains. "We will aid you in any way we can." Together they set forth once more, the fragments glow a beacon guiding their way. Yet, unbeknownst to them, a shadow lingered in their midst, a secret threat that would soon unravel all they had fought for. Their journey to Stormcrag would test not only their skills and determination, but the very bonds of trust and loyalty that held their alliance together. As dark secrets surfaced and loyalties were questioned, Idrin, Thalia, and their allies would have to navigate a treacherous path where a single misstep could spell doom for them all. In the heart of the mountains, beneath the wrath of the storm, they would discover truths that would challenge everything they knew, and ignite a battle not only for survival, but for the very essence of their souls. The journey to Stormcrag Pinnacle was an arduous one, as the land grew ever more rugged, the air thick with the promise of the storm that gave the peak its name. The Silver Circle had dispatched a contingent to accompany Idrin and Thalia. their numbers bolstered by seasoned warriors and mystics alike, each imbued with a shared purpose to thwart the encroaching darkness. As they made camp in the shadow of Stormcrag, a sense of unease settled over the group. The wind howled through the canyons like a lament, and even the stars seemed distant, hidden behind a veil of gathering clouds. Idrin tended to the campfire, its warmth a meager comfort against the chill. Thalia sat beside him, lost in contemplation, the fragment cradled in her hands. Its glow was steady, yet there was a tension in the air that could not be ignored. "Do you feel it?" she asked, her voice just above a whisper. "Something is amiss." Idrin nodded, his gaze scanning their surroundings. "The mountain does not welcome us, it seems, but there's more to it. I sense eyes upon us." Before Thalia could respond, a figure emerged from the darkness beyond the firelight. It was Alien, a young mystic of the Silver Circle, his face drawn and tense. "Idrin, Thalia," he said, urgency threading his words. "There's something you should see." He led them away from the camp, to a secluded spot where the mountainside offered a vantage over the labyrinthine canyons below. There, in the moon's pallid light, they saw what had drawn Alien's concern. A group of figures moved stealthily among the rocks, their shapes indistinct but unmistakably those of the conclave. They were few in number, yet their presence here, so deep within the realms of their foes, was a harbinger of ill tidings. "What are they doing here?" Thalia wondered aloud, her mind racing with possibilities. "Are they tracking us, or have they some other purpose?" Idrin's eyes narrowed, his instincts honed by years of survival. "Whatever their intent, it can't be good. We must act before they do." The three returned to the camp, conferring with Araneth and the others. A plan was swiftly devised, a strike against the interlopers, to gather information and prevent whatever machinations the conclave had set in motion. Night cloaked their movements as they descended into the canyons, the landscape a treacherous maze beneath the storm's brewing fury. As they approached the conclave's position, the wind carried snatches of conversation, words of malice and intent. But as they closed in, a twist of fate unfurled, a trap, sprung with deadly precision. Hidden wards flared to life, ensnaring several of their number in chains of conjured shadow. Cries of alarm echoed through the canyons as the conclave agents revealed themselves, their ambush meticulously planned. Among the conclave's ranks, a figure stepped forward, familiar and yet unthinkable. It was Lucan, a trusted ally from the Silver Circle, his allegiance now betrayed by the darkness in his eyes. "You always were too predictable, Araneth," Lucan taunted, his voice a blend of bitterness and triumph. "Did you truly think the conclave would be unprepared?" The realization hit like a hammer blow. Lucan was the traitor in their midst, the shadow that had dogged their every step. His defection was a wound deeper than any blade, a betrayal of the highest order. Araneth's face was a mask of steely resolve, her heartache hidden beneath her duty. "You will pay for this treachery, Lucan," she vowed, her sword gleaming with menace. The battle that erupted was fierce and chaotic, the storm above mirroring the conflict below. Idrin's arrows flew true, striking down foes where they stood, while Thalia unleashed torrents of magic, her anger a storm of its own. Even as they fought, questions gnawed at the edges of their minds. Why Lucan had turned, and what the conclave hoped to achieve here. But answers would have to wait, for survival was paramount. Every breath a struggle against the tide of shadows. In the heat of battle, Thalia faced Lucan, her magic dancing in her fingers like living lightning. "Why, Lucan? Why betray the circle?" she demanded, her voice a mix of sorrow and anger. Lucan met her gaze, and for a moment the mask slipped, revealing the turmoil within. "You wouldn't understand, Thalia. The world needs change, not stagnation." Before Thalia could retort, Lucan struck, his spells a symphony of darkness. But Thalia was ready, countering with a wave of light that shattered his defenses, forcing him back. The storm above reached its crescendo, lightning splitting the sky as rain lashed the earth. Amidst the chaos, Idrin spied an opening, his bowstring singing as he loosed an arrow aimed true. It struck Lucan, breaking his concentration, his spells faltering. Seizing the opportunity, Aranef moved, her blade finding its mark with unerring precision. Lucan fell, the light in his eyes dimming to nothing, the weight of his choices heavy upon him. As his last breath left his lips, the storm seemed to subside, the sky clearing as if in mournful acknowledgment of his fall. With the Conclave agents defeated, the gravity of their victory was tempered by the losses endured, the echoes of betrayal lingering in the air. But even as they gathered their wounded and mourned their dead, a new resolve took root. The Conclave's machinations were not yet fully revealed, and the threat they posed loomed larger than ever. For Idrin, Thalia, and their allies, the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, and the journey to Stormcrag promised challenges yet unseen. Part guided by purpose and the light of the fragment, they would ascend the mountain, where the secrets of the storm awaited. In the heart of Stormcrag, amidst the fury of nature itself, they would confront not only the Conclave, but the truths that lay hidden within their own hearts. Here the battle for the celestial heart would continue, and with it, the battle for the very soul of their world. With the echoes of betrayal still reverberating in their hearts, Idrin, Thalia, and the surviving members of the Silver Circle began their ascent of Stormcrag Pinnacle. The path was treacherous, carved by ages and weathered by countless tempests, but they pressed on, driven by necessity and vengeance. The mountainside was alive with the sound of the storm's breath, a relentless wind that howled through the crags and crevices. It carried with it a chill that seeped into their bones, a reminder that the mountain was as much a guardian as it was a barrier to the secrets it held. Their path wound higher, each step a battle against the elements. Idrin moved with the sure-footed grace of a ranger in his element, while Thalia channeled her magic into a protective aura, warding off the worst of the storm's wrath. The others followed, their determination a palpable force that bound them together. As they climbed, the landscape shifted, revealing a hidden world of ice and stone, where crystalline formations glistened like stars imprisoned in the earth. It was within this realm, at the heart of the storm, that they hoped to find the next fragment of the celestial heart. The ascent led them to a plateau where the storm's fury seemed to converge, a natural amphitheater where the wind's song was both fierce and haunting. At its center stood a monolithic structure, its surface etched with runes that pulsed with a faint, rhythmic light. "This is it," Thalia said, her voice barely audible above the wind. "The Temple of the Tempest. The fragment must be inside." Idrin nodded, his gaze fixed on the temple. "Whatever lies within, we face it together." As they approached the entrance, a figure materialized from the shadows, an apparition of swirling mist and light. It was the keeper of the tempest, an ancient spirit bound to the mountain and its secrets. Its eyes, like twin orbs of lightning, regarded them with a mix of curiosity and solemn duty. "Who dares to trespass upon the tempest's heart?" the keeper intoned, its voice a chorus of storms. Thalia stepped forward, her expression resolute. "We seek the fragment of the celestial heart, to prevent the darkness from consuming our world." The keeper's form shifted, a flicker of recognition passing through its depths. "The heart is not lightly given. Prove your worth and your intent." With a gesture, the keeper summoned the storm, the wind and snow swirling into a vortex that surrounded them. From within the tempest emerged trials of elemental fury, spirits of lightning, wind, and frost, each a test of their resolve and skill. Idrin moved with fluid precision, his arrows striking with the speed and fury of the storm itself. Thalia's magic danced through the air, weaving patterns of light that deflected the spirit's assaults. The silver circle, too, fought with a ferocity born of necessity, their unity an unbreakable shield against the onslaught. As the trials intensified, Thalia felt a change within the fragment she carried, its light resonating with the storm's energy. She realized then that the fragment was not merely a piece of power to be wielded, but a key to understanding and harmony with the world around them. With this insight, she focused her magic, not to oppose the storm, but to harmonize with it, allowing its power to flow through her and into the fragment. The storm responded, its fury abating as the elemental spirits were calmed, their forms dissolving into gentle flurries of snow. The keeper watched, its gaze inscrutable, but there was a sense of approval in its stance. "You have shown wisdom and strength," it said, its voice a soft rumble. "The heart of the storm acknowledges your purpose." The temple doors opened, revealing a chamber bathed in the soft glow of the fragment they sought. It rested upon an altar of ice, its surface intricately carved with symbols of balance and unity. As Thalia reached for the fragment, a vision engulfed her, a tapestry of past and future woven from strands of light and shadow. She saw the celestial heart, whole and radiant, its power both a blessing and a burden. She saw the conclave's dark intentions, their desire to reshape the world in their image, and sensed the myriad paths that lay before them, each fraught with peril and possibility. When the vision faded, she stood with both fragments in hand, their light a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. As they turned to leave, the keeper's voice followed them. "Beware the path ahead, for it is as fleeting as the wind, and as treacherous as the storm. Trust in each other, and in the light that guides you." With renewed purpose, they descended the mountain, the storm's fury now a distant memory. But within the shadows of their victory, a new threat emerged, one that would test their newfound unity and challenge the very fabric of their quest. Part in the wake of their triumph, Edrin Thalia and their allies would face a cunning adversary, one who moved unseen and struck without warning. The bonds of trust and loyalty would be strained to their limits as they raced to uncover the truth and protect the fragments from those who sought to wield them for darkness. Amidst this new peril, they would discover that even the brightest light casts a shadow, and that the greatest threats sometimes come not from without, but from within. The descent from Storm Crag was swift, their steps buoyed by the promise of hope, yet the weight of uncertainty hung ever present. With 2 fragments of the celestial heart now in their possession, the path to thwarting the Shadow Conclave seemed clearer. though fraught with unseen perils. As they reached the base of the mountain, a thick mist rolled in from the east, casting the world in a silvery shroud. The air was still, pregnant with the quiet tension that spoke of latent danger. Idrin and Thalia exchanged a glance, both acutely aware of the disquiet that had settled over their company. They made camp in a secluded glade, the silver circle spreading out to secure the perimeter. As night descended, the mist thickened, enveloping them in a cocoon of silence that magnified every whisper, every creak of armor and snap of twig. Idrin took the first watch, his senses attuned to the forest's rhythms. But as the fog coiled through the trees like a living thing, a figure emerged from its depths. Orin, a trusted scout of the Silver Circle. "Something is not right," Orin murmured, his voice barely audible. "There's a presence in the mist. I can feel it, watching us." Idrin nodded, the hairs on his neck standing on end. "Stay alert. We cannot afford to be taken by surprise." Hours passed, tension mounting as the mist crept closer, its embrace cold and insidious. It was during the darkest hour, when the world seemed to hold its breath, that the attack came. Silent and swift, as if the mist itself had taken form. Their assailants were phantoms in the night, clad in shadow and wielding weapons that glimmered with malevolent purpose. Idrin's shout of alarm split the silence as he loosed arrows with deadly precision, each one finding its mark amidst the mists. Thalia awoke to the chaos, her magic flaring to life as she conjured barriers of light to hold back the spectral foe. The Silver Circle rallied, their steel clashing against the night as they fought to repel the unseen threat. In the midst of the fray, Thalia sensed a shift, a ripple in the fabric of reality, as if the air itself was being manipulated. She turned to see a figure at the edge of the glade, cloaked in shadow and radiating an aura of dark magic. The figure raised a hand, and the mist surged forward, a tidal wave of ethereal cold that crashed into their defenses. Idrin shouted a warning as the force knocked him to the ground, the world spinning as he struggled to regain his footing. Amidst the disarray, Thalia felt the fragments pulsing in her grasp, their light flickering as the darkness closed in. With a surge of determination, she drew upon their power, channeling it into a blast of pure energy that cut through the mist. Revealing their assailant, an emissary of the conclave, his face hidden beneath a cowl, his eyes burning with an unnatural glow. The emissary's laughter echoed through the glade, a sound devoid of warmth. "You think to challenge the conclave with your paltry defiance? The heart will be ours, and the world remade." Idrin, regaining his feet, met Thalia's gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. They would not yield, not while hope remained. Together they pressed the attack, Thalia's magic weaving a tapestry of light that banished the shadows, while Idrin's arrows struck with the ferocity of a tempest. The emissary staggered, his power waning beneath their combined assault. In his final moments, the cowl fell away, revealing a face marked with runes of binding, the insignia of a thrall, enslaved to the conclave's will. His eyes, once fierce with malice, now held a flicker of pleading, a soul desperate for release. With a cry that was both a lament and a battle cry, Thalia unleashed a final burst of magic, severing the runes and freeing the spirit within. The mist dissolved, the air clearing as if waking from a nightmare. As the dawn broke, casting a golden light over the glade, the company regrouped, weary but unbowed. The Silver Circle tended to their wounded, while Thalia and Idrin contemplated the revelations of the night. The emissary's presence was a chilling reminder of the conclave's reach, the extent to which they would go to claim the celestial heart. But it also spoke of a deeper threat, that even those bound to their cause might seek redemption, if only they had the chance. "We must move quickly," Idrin said, his voice firm. "The Conclave knows our path. We cannot let them find the next fragment before we do." Thalia nodded, the weight of their quest settling on her shoulders like a mantle. "We have to end this, before the darkness consumes us all." With renewed resolve, they would set forth once more, the path ahead fraught with danger and uncertainty. In the heart of the world, where light and shadow danced in perpetual conflict, they would face adversaries both old and new, and uncover secrets that would test the very limits of trust and loyalty. As they raced against time to piece together the celestial heart, they would discover that the greatest battles were not those fought with swords and sorcery, but those waged within their own hearts. The dawn spread its golden fingers across the landscape, as Adrian, Thalia, and their companions resumed their journey. They ventured from the slopes of Stormcrag, guided by the cryptic whispers of a map half-formed, within the mind of Thalia, painted by visions drawn from the fragments they carried. The air was crisp, tinged with the scent of pine and earth, yet beneath its freshness lurked a palpable tension, a reminder of the unseen threat that shadowed their steps. Their path led them through the Vale of Winds, a region where the land rose and fell in sweeping undulations, each hill crest offering a view of the vast wilderness sprawling beyond. It was said that here, in the heart of the Vale, ancient lines of power converged, the very veins of the world itself beneath their feet. As they pressed on, a new presence joined them. It was a creature of myth and majesty, a griffin, its wingspan as vast as the sky, feathers gleaming with the hues of twilight. It had descended from the heights, alighting near them with a grace that belied its size. Its eyes, deep and wise, seemed to pierce the very soul. "Behold, Alarion," declared Lady Araneth, her voice carrying both awe and respect. Guardian of the Vale, keeper of ancient truths, Alarion regarded them with a solemn nod, acknowledging their quest. "I have watched the paths you tread, and the shadows that follow," it spoke, its voice a harmonious blend of thunder and song. "The land itself heeds your call. But beware, for the Conclave's fingers reach far, and their thirst for dominion has woken old powers from slumber." Adrian stepped forward, his heart steady with resolve. "We seek the next fragment to end their menace. Will you aid us, Guardian?" The griffin inclined its head, a gesture of alliance. "Many trails cross through the Vale, but few reach the true heart. Follow the light where it dances beneath the shadows, and heed the whispers of the silent stones." With Alarion's words echoing in their minds, they continued deeper into the Vale, the landscape shifting as if the world itself sought to guide them. The sky above was a canvas of azure and gold, the sunlight filtering through the leaves to paint their path in shifting patterns of light and shadow. As they traveled, Thalia sensed a change in the air, a subtle shift in the magic that coursed through the land. She felt drawn to it, as if the fragments resonated with a call beyond the veil of reality. Their journey brought them to an ancient standing stone, its surface etched with runes that glowed with a faint luminescence. It was here that they paused, the power of the place tangible and alive. "This must be the heart of the Vale," Adrian mused, tracing the runes with his fingers. "There's something here, something hidden." Araneth stepped forward, a look of recognition dawning on her face. "The runes are a key. They speak of a chamber beneath, where light and shadow meet as one." Together, they deciphered the runes, their combined knowledge unlocking the ancient mechanism. As the last syllable of their incantation faded into the air, the ground trembled, the stone shifting to reveal a passage descending into the earth. They ventured into the chamber, the walls aglow with the soft luminescence of the stones that lined the path. At the chamber's heart lay the next fragment, cradled in a bed of crystal and light. Its presence was a beacon of hope, yet as Thalia reached for it, she felt a tremor of doubt, an echo of a darker presence lingering at the edge of her consciousness. No sooner had they claimed the fragment than the world above erupted in chaos. The earth shook, sending ripples through the chamber, and a shadow fell across their path. The conclave had found them, their forces descending upon the Vale like a storm unleashed. They emerged from the chamber to a scene of tumult, a battle raging amidst the standing stones. The warriors of the Silver Circle, locked in combat with the dark-clad agents of the conclave. Elarian soared above, its talons and beak a blur of motion, as it repelled the attackers with unyielding ferocity. Amidst the struggle, a figure stepped forward, clad in robes of deep crimson, eyes burning with an unnatural light. It was Isolde, a high sorceress of the conclave, her presence a formidable shadow. "You think to thwart us with petty defiance?" Isolde taunted, her voice a siren's call woven with menace. "The celestial heart shall be ours, and with it dominion over all." Thalia stood firm, the fragments clutched to her chest, their light a shield against the encroaching darkness. "We will not let you succeed, Isolde. Your path leads only to ruin." The confrontation was swift and fierce, magic igniting the air as Thalia and Isolde clashed, their wills locked in a furious struggle. Around them, Idrin and the others fought to protect the fragments, their resolve a bastion against the tide. Isolde's power was immense, her spells a tapestry of shadow and flame. Yet Thalia's determination burned brighter, the fragments empowering her with a strength beyond reckoning. With a final, decisive strike, she unleashed their combined might, shattering Isolde's defenses and sending the sorceress reeling. The battle's end came with a breath of relief, as the remnants of the conclave retreated, their ranks broken and scattered. The Vale settled into silence, the air shimmering with the afterglow of magic. In the aftermath, as they regrouped and tended to the wounded, Elarian approached, its eyes a reflection of gratitude and respect. "You have proven worthy protectors of the light," it proclaimed. "Yet know this, the journey is not over. Greater shadows lie ahead, and only by uniting the fractured heart can peace be restored." With these words, a new resolve took root among them. The fragments they carried were more than relics of power. They were symbols of unity and hope, guides on their quest to restore balance to a world teetering on the edge of darkness. Part emboldened by their victory and the Griffin's guidance, Idrin, Thalia, and their allies would journey to the gathering point of ley lines and destinies, a place where the veil between worlds was thin, and where the final pieces of the celestial heart awaited. As their paths entwined with friend and foe alike, they would face their ultimate test, a convergence of light and shadow that would decide the fate of their world. Heart, the great griffin Elarian, soared high above the Vale of Winds, its silhouette a dark etching against the dawn sky, guiding Idrin, Thalia, and their companions toward the final convergence, the crossroads of Caldrith, where the very fabric of the world wore thin, and the destinies of many would entwine. Their journey took them through the Whispering Woods, a forest steeped in lore and mystery, where the trees seemed to lean in, their rustling leaves sharing secrets ancient and forgotten. Here, The air was rich with the scent of moss and earth, and the sunlight filtered through the canopy in dappled patterns, casting the path ahead in a serene, golden haze. As they walked, Thalia felt the fragments in her possession resonate with the forest, their light a gentle pulse in harmony with the life around them. It was here, amidst the tranquility, that they encountered a new ally. From the forest depths emerged a figure clad in robes of green and gold, her presence as ethereal as the woods themselves. Her name was Lyriel, a druid of the Whispering Woods, with eyes the color of the forest canopy and hair like the river's flow. "Welcome, travelers," Lyriel greeted, her voice a soothing melody. "The forest sings of your coming, and the light you carry." Idrin inclined his head in acknowledgement. "We seek the crossroads of Kuldrith, where the final fragment awaits. Will you journey with us, Lyriel?" "I will," she replied, a smile gracing her lips. "The fate of the world rests upon your shoulders, and the forest will lend its aid to see it set aright." With Lyriel as their guide, they traversed the woods, the land unfolding like a tapestry of color and sound. Along the way, she shared stories of the forest's history, tales of spirits and guardians, of the delicate balance maintained by the druids through ages past. As they neared the heart of the woods, the air grew cooler, the path descending into a grove where the trees parted to reveal a circle of standing stones, their surfaces etched with runes that glowed faintly in the dim light. "This is the Circle of Ilaria," Lyriel explained, her voice reverent. "A place where the ley lines converge, and where the veil between worlds is at its thinnest." Thalia's gaze settled on the stones, the fragments humming with a newfound intensity. "We're close," she murmured, a mix of anticipation and foreboding in her heart. But as they prepared to enter the circle, a disturbance rippled through the grove, a presence that sent a shiver through the air. From the shadows stepped a figure clad in dark armor, his visage obscured by a helm as black as midnight. It was Arcturus, a champion of the conclave, his reputation one of fear and legend. "So it is here that you seek to complete the heart," Arcturus spoke, his voice deep and resonant. "You cannot comprehend the power you meddle with." Idrin drew his bow, the tension palpable in his stance. "We understand enough, Arcturus. We know the conclave would use its power for domination." A battle erupted, the grove a theater of light and shadow as magic clashed and blades sang through the air. Arcturus fought with the skill of a seasoned warrior, his strikes powerful, unerring. Yet the combined might of Idrin, Thalia, and their allies held firm, each of them a bastion against the encroaching darkness. Lyriel called upon the forest itself, the roots and branches coming alive to ensnare and disarm, a testament to the bond between druid and earth. Thalia's magic danced like wildfire, a beacon of hope that pierced the shadows. In the midst of battle, Thalia felt a calling, the pull of the fragments guiding her toward the circle. She broke free from the fray, stepping into the center of the stones, where the air shimmered with an otherworldly light. There, at the heart of the circle, the final fragment awaited, cradled in a bed of earth and light. As Thalia reached for it, a vision engulfed her, a vision of worlds intertwined, of destinies written in the stars, of the balance between creation and destruction. Idrin and Lyriel stood guard as Thalia wove the fragments together, their light merging into a singular entity, the celestial heart, whole and radiant, its power both awe-inspiring and humbling. But before the moment could be savored, Arcturus unleashed a final assault, his desperation, a storm of fury and darkness. Thalia, now attuned to the heart's power, met his attack with a luminescent shield, the force of which shattered his defenses and sent him to his knees. As the dust settled, Arcturus looked up, a flicker of humanity piercing the darkness in his eyes. Perhaps there is another way, he whispered, the weight of his choices heavy upon him. With the battle won, the grove returned to silence, the standing stones a witness to the convergence of fate. Lyriel approached, her expression one of quiet wonder. The heart is whole, but the journey is not yet over, she said softly. Its power must be guided, its light shared with the world, to heal and restore. With the celestial heart now complete, Idrin, Thalia, and their allies prepared for the final leg of their quest, to bring its light to the world, and ensure that the sacrifice and struggle had not been in vain. As they journeyed to the seat of power where the conclave sought to weave their dark tapestry, the final confrontation awaited. In the light of a new dawn, they would face the conclave's leaders, armed with the heart and the unity of their purpose, to illuminate the shadows and renew the world with the promise of peace and harmony. Idrin, Thalia, and their companions, now joined by Lyriel and the reformed Arcturus, followed the ley lines to the city of Luminous, the ancient seat of power where the Shadow Conclave plotted their dark dominion. The celestial heart, cradled in Thalia's hands, pulsed with a light so pure it seemed to vibrate with the heartbeat of the world itself, its power a beacon against the encroaching shadows. The city of Luminous rose before them, its spires piercing the heavens, remnants of a bygone era where magic flowed freely through its veins. Yet now, those noble towers were veiled in a miasma of dark magic, tendrils of shadow coiling around them like a serpent poised to strike. As they approached the city gates, they were met by a tide of refugees driven from their homes by the conclave's oppressive rule. Fear and despair marked their faces, yet at the sight of the celestial heart's light, hope flickered anew within their eyes. "Will you stand with us?" Thalia called out, her voice carrying over the din. "Will you help us reclaim Luminous and banish this darkness?" A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, a rallying cry of determination and unity. They had suffered under the conclave's yoke for too long, and the promise of a new dawn was enough to ignite their courage. As they passed through the gates, the city streets became a battlefield, the air alive with the clash of steel and the crackle of magic. The conclave's enforcers, clad in robes of shadow, emerged from the recesses, their eyes aglow with the fire of fanaticism. Idrin led the charge, his arrows flying swift and true, cutting through the enemy ranks like a scythe through wheat. Beside him, Lyriel summoned the ancient magic of the earth, the very stones of the city rising to aid their cause. Arcturus, once a champion of darkness, now fought with a valor born of redemption, his blade a blur of light and flame as he carved a path toward the heart of the conclave's power. Amidst the chaos, Thalia held the celestial heart aloft, its radiance a guiding star that cleaved through the shadows. She could feel the connection between the heart and Luminous, a bond forged through centuries, waiting to be rekindled. Their path led them to the grand amphitheater, a vast expanse, where once voices of reason and hope had echoed, now claimed by the conclave's dark council. Shadows pooled like fog upon the stage, obscuring the figures that waited within. From the darkness emerged 3 figures, the leaders of the conclave, their presence a tapestry of menace and power. Each bore a mark of their dark allegiance, symbols etched in blood and shadow. The leader stepped forward, eyes like burning coals fixing upon Thalia. "You presume to defy us with your relic and the rabble at your heels?" His voice a silky menace. "The celestial heart is but a tool, and we are its rightful masters." Thalia stepped forward, the heart's light flaring in defiance. "You seek to use its power to enslave, but the heart belongs to the world, not to tyranny." The confrontation erupted into a tempest of magic, the amphitheater a crucible of light and shadow. The conclave's dark spells clashed with the radiant power of the heart, a battle of wills that shook the very foundations of Luminous. Idrin and his allies fought with unyielding resolve, their unity a shield against the conclave's relentless assault. Arcturus, driven by his newfound purpose, confronted his former masters, his blade a beacon of truth and redemption. As Thalia channeled the heart's energy, she felt its essence intertwine with her own, a symphony of light that resonated with the land itself. In that moment, she understood the true nature of the celestial heart, not as a weapon, but as a catalyst for renewal and harmony. With a cry that echoed through the ages, Thalia unleashed the heart's full power, a wave of light that swept across the amphitheater, banishing the shadows and purging the darkness that had tainted Luminous. The conclave's leaders staggered under the onslaught, their hold on the city crumbling as the light pierced their defenses. With a final, desperate gasp, they fell, their ambitions scattered like ashes on the wind. As the dust settled, the city of Luminous seemed to breathe anew, its towers gleaming in the light of a new dawn. The people emerged from their refuge, their faces alight with joy and relief as they witnessed the rebirth of their home. Idrin, Thalia, and their companions stood amidst the ruins of the past, the celestial heart shining with a light that promised a brighter future. The battle was won, but more importantly, a new era had begun, one forged not by conquest, but by unity and hope. With the darkness dispelled, they turned their eyes to the horizon, where the promise of a restored world awaited. The journey had been long and fraught with peril, yet the bonds forged in the fires of adversity would endure, guiding them toward a future where light and shadow danced in harmony. In the wake of victory, Idrin, Thalia, and their allies would embark on a new quest, to heal the wounds of the world and foster a legacy of peace and understanding. As the echoes of their journey spread across the realm, they would learn that even in a land reborn, the dance of destiny continued, weaving new paths and stories beyond the veil of the known. The city of Luminous stood renewed, its towers reaching skyward like ancient sentinels reborn under the tender light of a rising sun. Yet as the echoes of battle faded, the world whispered of new beginnings, of paths yet unfurled. Idrin, Thalia, and their steadfast allies gathered in the heart of the city, where the celestial heart now rested, its glow a promise of peace and regeneration. As the citizens of Luminous celebrated, a council convened in the grand hall, once shadowed by darkness, now bathed in luminous glory. Idrin, Thalia, Arcturus, Lyriel, and Lady Araneth formed a circle, each representative of the triumph they had wrought together. "The world looks to us now," Lady Araneth began, her voice carrying the weight of leadership tempered by compassion. "The celestial heart has healed much, but our stewardship is far from done. We must ensure the peace we have won endures beyond this day." Arcturus, now stripped of his dark allegiance and robed in humble cloth, nodded. "The conclave is broken, but its remnants remain. We must extend a hand to those who would abandon the shadow and forge a new future beside us." Thalia, ever the visionary, gazed upon the heart, its light reflecting the infinite possibilities before them. "The world bears scars, wounds that only trust and understanding can heal. We must guide, not govern, and let the light of the heart illuminate all paths." Their consensus reached, the council's decree rippled through Luminos and beyond, carried by the winds of change to lands far and wide. The celestial heart would serve as a beacon, a symbol of unity, to mend the fractures and bridge the divides that had long plagued the realm. In the days that followed, delegations from across the realm flocked to Luminos, drawn by the light and the promise of a new dawn. Among them were figures from lands touched by legend, elven envoys from the Mistwoods, dwarven smiths from the Iron Peaks, and even emissaries from distant isles shrouded in mystery. Each came bearing stories, dreams, and hopes, ready to weave their destinies into the tapestry of the world reborn. Yet as peace bloomed, whispers of something else lingered at the edges of perception, an enigmatic pull toward a greater unknown. It was Lyriel who first felt the call, her bond with the earth attuned to the subtleties of its song. Approaching Thalia one evening, as the stars unveiled their celestial dance, Lyriel spoke of her vision. "In the forest, I felt it, a tremor of magic, ancient and uncharted. Something stirs beyond the veil, calling to us." Thalia listened, the firelight dancing in her eyes as she pondered the druid's words. "The world has changed, yet its mysteries remain. Perhaps this is a path the heart cannot illuminate alone." Idrin joined them, his presence a steady anchor. "Then we must seek it out, uncover whatever lies beyond the veil. We are duty-bound, not just to protect, but to explore and understand." The decision made, their party prepared for a journey into the unknown, leaving the stewardship of Luminos in trusted hands. They ventured northward, guided by Lyriel's instincts and the whispers of the earth, their hearts alight with the thrill of discovery. Their journey led them to the edge of realms, where the world felt delicate, as if the tapestry of reality was frayed and willing to reveal its secrets. Here, amidst the landscape of crystalline beauty, they found the entrance, a portal of shimmering energy, its surface rippling like water under moonlight. Gathering their courage, they stepped through the veil, the portal enveloping them in a symphony of light. When the blinding illumination subsided, they found themselves in a realm untouched by time, a land of vibrant hues and surreal landscapes that defied the known laws of nature. The air was alive with magic, every breath a taste of the extraordinary. Towering trees with leaves of incandescent blue swayed gently in a breeze that whispered forgotten tales. Creatures of all shapes and sizes roamed freely, their forms both familiar and fantastical. As they ventured deeper, they came upon a figure, seated atop a cairn of stone, their features obscured beneath a hooded cloak, shimmering with the colors of twilight. The figure rose as they approached, extending a hand in greeting. "Welcome, seekers of the heart," the stranger intoned, their voice a harmonious blend of tones. "I am Alarian, keeper of the veil. You have crossed into the realm between, where dreams and reality converge. Idrin, ever the scout, surveyed their surroundings with a keen eye. "What purpose does this realm serve, Keeper?" Alarion smiled, a gesture that seemed to illuminate the space around them. "This is a place of convergence, where the energies of all worlds meet. Here, we safeguard the balance, ensuring the harmony between realms." Thalia, her curiosity piqued, tilted her head. "And why have we been called here? What role are we to play in this grand design?" Alarion's gaze turned toward the horizon, where a distant light pulsed in time with the beat of their hearts. "The realms are awakening, and with them, the bridges that connect all things. Your journey here is but the beginning of a greater quest, one that will test the unity you have forged, and the strength of your bond with the light." As they stood at the threshold of discovery, the dawn of a new adventure stretched before them, vast and uncharted. In this realm of dreams and possibility, they would confront challenges beyond their reckoning, and in doing so, weave a legacy that transcended the bounds of time and space. Thus began a new chapter, one of exploration and enlightenment, where the truth of the world and the depths of their own spirits would be revealed in the light of a new dawn, shining brightly beyond the veil.